Hey everyone, it's Kat. So I just recently left my 2-year night audit job working in a hotel, and I'm so happy to finally be back on my regular sleep schedule. But in this video today, I plan on just talking about the different tips and tricks that I have for those of you who maybe want to start working night shift in a hotel, or maybe for other people who just want to work night shift in general. But I also have many crazy, guest horror stories and encounters that I plan on talking about today, and it's a lot, so I'll just probably be talking about only a select few. But other than that, let's go ahead and get into it. So for those of you who are considering going into a night shift job at a hotel, I would first highly recommend you doing your research on the possible long-term, short-term effects that it could have on your body. Because of course, this is a job that's, not meant for everyone, and it will affect, everyone differently. But especially if you're younger, it's very important because, even for me, when I first started, I was thinking, oh, well, I'm a night owl, I can stay up all night long, all I need is just a couple of cups of coffee, I'm good to go. But even in the beginning, I actually did think about quitting. I think it was my first week, and, I went out one day and I just got really sick, and, knock on wood, I'm a person that doesn't get sick ever. So I knew something was wrong, but, eventually I, took the necessary steps to counteract, the effects that could potentially come from working the night shift. And I plan to get into those in just a moment. So when you enter into your first few night shifts, you won't start to see changes right away. But of course, like I said, depending on who you are, night shift can affect your body differently. And the number one thing when working night shift is, there is a chance of possible weight gain. But I remember doing my research on this years ago, and, people who, stay up at night, it's not that they will necessarily gain weight, but they are more prone to gaining weight if they don't take the necessary steps to, counteract it. And of course, that's what I did, when I first started too, because I, one advantage I had is that, I had been going to the gym for so long too, and I would actually try to go before, my night shifts. And, some people would even think that, working out before your night shifts, that would actually make you feel more tired. But no, it actually made me feel, more lively and active, on the job. So, that was a really great thing. So like I had just mentioned, working out is a great way to stay fit and active during your night shifts, but it's also very important on what we're bringing to eat at work late at night as well. So for me, I would usually try to avoid, drinking energy drinks or soda late at night. And, usually I would have maybe like 2 cups of coffee if I'm feeling a little bit tired, just to keep me up during the night. But I will say too, I did have some cheat days here and there where, you'll have like guests bringing food to the front desk, saying, would you like to have my leftovers or would you like to have my sweets? And, it's really bad for me because like I have a really bad sweet tooth. So sometimes I just couldn't resist. But, there's different food options that I would try to pick up from the store. Like at Walmart, they have these little snack packs with the fruit and the crackers and cheese and vegetables. And remember, there's also one that has peanut butter and it has like a hard-boiled egg. And I also remember I would try to bring my blender to work too and just leave it there and just leave like frozen fruit and yogurt in the fridge. And then I would come and just make like some smoothies. And, it's still high in sugar, but I mean, it's a lot better than, I guess, maybe a TV dinner heating up in the microwave. But so most people, in other videos that I've seen, when they get off from their night shifts, to help out with a better sleep, they would black out their entire room, or they would get, something to put over their eyes to help with better sleep. But I didn't do that. I just got off my shifts at 7 a.m. and I would have to go immediately get breakfast because I was feeling very hungry. And then I would just go home and then sleep until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But, even, just from what I remember, you never really get used to it, even though I said, I found ways to counteract it. And I actually, wanted to take on more shifts too, because in the beginning I was only working one night shift and then just working the front desk on other days. But eventually it got to the point where I wanted to work, 2 more. And then I actually was working our gift shop on 2 other days. So I had to figure out how I was going to do that and that. But I did get 2 days off to rest. So there's also this thing of whether or not it's better to, work night shift, full time, or if you do it kind of just back and forth. And like, I would say it is better for doing it back and forth. But the thing is that you still never really adjust. And I've even, seen videos of people, they've been working night shift for 40 years or longer. And for some reason, your body just still never adjusts to it because, just as human beings, our bodies weren't designed to be up, that late at night. And of course, for those of you who know as well, night shift does mess up the circadian rhythms in our body, which is just our body's, natural clock that tells us, different things, like for example, when it's time to go to bed or when we're going to start feeling tired. But so working night shift can be, a really fun job if you choose to make it one, because, first of all, you're working by yourself and, it's just a much more calm atmosphere. And, usually there's this, I guess, perception from people that are saying, oh, it's the easiest job because you're just, sitting up at night doing nothing. And I can tell you that cannot be further from the truth, because there's still a lot, that has to be done at night. For example, there could be leftover laundry that housekeeping didn't finish for the day that you could help out with. You have to mop and sweep the lobby. And it was kind of a plus, at this job, because I worked at like a smaller hotel, so we didn't have like a complimentary breakfast, set up where all the stuff had to be taken down that you usually see at like the larger hotels. So, there's just a whole bunch of stuff that needs to be done, but you will eventually have some downtime to where you can maybe, sleep, for a little bit. But depending on, which hotel you're working at, because, at mine, we weren't allowed to sleep, but, I've seen from other people's videos that they were maybe allowed to have certain rest periods here and there for about 15 minutes. So now I get into the part of the video where it's not really saying that these things will happen to you, but more so of just be prepared for, things that you might encounter, while working your night shifts. But hey, they could happen to anyone on any shift. So yeah, like I had said in the beginning, I do have a couple of horror stories here and there, but I kind of just want to, kind of briefly touch on them a little bit. So when I first started working my shifts at the hotel, there was this other lady who was working night shift, but she would work on the other days. But I just remember her telling me all of her horror stories that she had before I started. But then eventually when I started to work, she still had all of these crazy stories to tell. But then eventually I started to have my fair share of horror stories. So I guess let's start with number 1, was the 3 a.m. streaker. So I remember I was up in the pool area and just, checking everything out. And on each side we have, 2 glass doors. And I walked out, one of them, and I see this man come around the corner naked. And as soon as he sees me, he goes right back around the corner. And as soon as I saw him, I jumped like right out the door, because I wasn't in shock. It was just more so of a, oh, that's so awkward type of moment. And I kind of just stood out there for about like 2 minutes, just, like, what do I do? Do I go back in there? Do I say anything? And I could still kind of see him like poking his, head around the corner, just like trying to see me or something. And I was kind of like seeing him. And yeah, so I just decided I'm just going to go out the other door and just go back down to the front desk. And, I did have access to the cameras too, but I wasn't wanting to go and look back at that. And I just remember my manager, I told her, she was cracking up, and I just said, yeah, do not go back on the camera or anything. So, which now brings us into horror story number 2, which I don't have a name for him yet, but I will probably once I edit this video. So it was around the same time, I remember, maybe about like 2 a.m. and I go up to the front desk, and there is this man who is butt naked, nothing on. And this was actually a couple months after that last incident too. It wasn't the same night. So I just remember too, I was more shocked at how I handled the situation rather than actually seeing him. But he was standing at the front desk, so I didn't see anything. But at first when I walked up there, I just thought he didn't have a shirt on. But then I realized, no, he has nothing on. And I was just like, sir, you know, what happened? And he said, oh, I got locked out of my room. And, you know, I was thinking, no, you're probably intoxicated, because, you know, I would work the busier nights too. So I would always deal with, you know, a lot of, you know, crazy people. And I had just said, you know, I can go to the back, I can get you a towel real quick, I can get you a new key card. And so I was just sitting up there the whole time with him, just laughing and saying, sir, this isn't my first time. Like, this has actually happened to me before. And like I said, it was just crazy, you know, how I handled the situation. But so there are other times too when you'll just have, you know, crazy people that will cause, you know, like really bad, you know, inconveniences to others. And I remember, you know, there's times when guests will, you know, break stuff in the lobby, or they'll set off alarms, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, I still enjoyed, you know, working the job very much. And, you know, it's just all a part of the job, but you do meet a lot of, you know, interesting people. And, you know, that was one of my favorite, you know, things, you know, at any job that I go to, is always, you know, making those connections with guests. But like I even said in my previous video too, you know, it is a very, you know, fun job if you choose to make it one. But yeah, like I had said, again, one last time, just make sure that this is a job you actually want to go into before doing so. But yeah, other than that, hope y'all enjoyed this video today, and I'll hope to see you in the next one. All right, bye.